Good afternoon, Hillcrest family. Mark Johnson coming to you live from the kind of the east side of the driving range. We're in between hole number 2 and the driving range fairway. We're going to talk today about some trouble shots. Kate earlier today did how to do some rough play. So today I kind of want to get into, okay, what if you don't have that option of trying to advance the ball, and your only option is to just kind of punch out and try to get yourself back into a position to make a play moving forward. So that's my goal today. It is Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. I wish I had a margarita to offer you, but I don't. So instead, I'm just going to offer you some golf advice and hope that suffices for the time being. As always, any questions, shoot them over live. We can get them answered here during our session. If you're seeing this video at home later on, or on your phone at a different point, just send us an email, send us a text, give us a call. We'll be happy to get those answered for you. One thing I hope you've learned during this whole time is that we're here for you. So if you have any questions, please shoot them over. Okay, so let's kind of get into what our thought process is and what our options are when we find ourselves in a position of I guess you'd say displeasure off the tee. So, fast forward, I hit my drive and I'm in the rough area, and as you can see in front of me, there's some trees, and I really don't have any look at the green in front of me. So I really don't have an option for a miracle shot. So my options are to simply, as Kate put it in the last video, take my medicine. I put myself here, get myself out, try to avoid that big number being a 7 or an 8. I can't tell you how many times in my playing career, if I found myself in this position and went for that miracle shot, how many times did I actually make the miracle shot and come out of there with a good score? How many times did I walk away with a 6 or a 7 or an 8? It's probably more of the 6, 7, and 8 variety. So, do yourself a favor when you're in jail, so to speak, and get yourself out, okay? So we're going to talk about some ways to do that. We're also going to talk about how to work the ball a little bit, either left or right, to try to get yourself around an opposing tree that's in front of you. And we're also going to talk about how to hit a dead straight low shot that just kind of puts you back into play. So first and foremost, I think the easiest thing to do is to figure out what options are given to you. So the first thing I look for is my lie. Is it sitting up? If it's sitting up, I can kind of do really whatever I want, depending on what the tree structure is around me. If it's sitting down in the rough, now my options are limited. So, the punch out really seems more favorable here. But if it was sitting up, I could, try to work the ball left or right. I could try to advance it maybe a little bit further than I normally would get out of just a straight punch out. So we're going to talk about just a straight punch out first. And if you're not comfortable later on, trying to work the ball around a tree, totally fine. We can, myself, Kate, or Brett, we can meet you privately when we get going and teach you how to do that specifically. But for time being, if you're just comfortable punching out and putting it back in play, great. You're going to save yourself from big numbers. So let's do that right off the bat. So I have my shot right here. I don't know if you can see the balls right there, sitting down just a little bit. So I really don't have a ton of options for what I can do. I have a big pine tree here, a smaller tree here, and I have a pretty small window for me to shoot through to kind of get it back into play. So, as Cade mentioned earlier, don't try to do too much with this shot. Just put it back into play. And whatever that club is that will do that for you, great. Is it a wedge? Is it an 8-iron? Is it a 7-iron? Whatever that club may be, but you got to make sure about 2 things. 1, you're going to put the club face on the ball. 2, it's going to come out low so it has some run and you don't have any problems with tree structures. And then 3, when it gets to the fairway, it's not going to have too much rollout to go into the rough on the other side. So that, again, can potentially give us big, big numbers. So, again, my idea here, I put myself in this position. Shame on me. Let's get it back into play. Give me a chance to get up and down or whatever the case may be. But, again, my big goal, I don't want the 6, I don't want the 7, I don't want the 8 on my scorecard. I'm just going to get myself back into play and get myself in position. All right, so a couple of things about trying to hit that golf ball lower than normal. I like to play it a little bit farther back in my stance. By doing so, if you remember from my chipping video, if I play the ball farther back in my stance, I'm now de-lofting that club slightly. So I have right here, this is a 7-iron. So by playing it back in my stance, I'm maybe turning it into a 6-iron maybe, something like that. So I'm de-lofting the club so I can control the flight pattern of the golf shot. As with all shots in golf, especially trouble shots, I need to control it. I need to control where it's going. I need to control it. It's not going to hit a tree, things of that nature. We want, like I said, to get ourselves out and back into position. So the next thing I'm going to do, so first thing, as I discussed, back in my stance. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choke up on the club just a little bit. You can see I probably have about an inch and a half of that grip kind of hanging off the back end of my left hand. So I choked up just a bit. Again, that's giving me a little bit more control. When I make this swing, my swing is going to be pretty short, back and through. I just want to make sure that, again, I'm in control of this golf swing. If I take too big of a swing, I start losing control. So shorter the backswing, the more control you have. I also want to make sure that I allow this club to make contact with the grass. Okay, so I'm not really trying to get the club underneath the ball, but I'm trying to get the club face to meet the back of the ball. See if we can't get that ball to shoot out on a lower profile trajectory. Okay. The last thing I'm going to try to do here, probably the most important for all you viewers at home, biggest mistake we can make in punching out or hitting trouble shots is allowing our head to move. Okay, so my goal is to keep my head totally still and over the golf ball as long as I possibly can as I'm making this stroke. Okay, and understand it's not looking up. People always say, well, don't look up. Well, that's really not what's happening. What's happening is your head is moving in a lateral motion back and through. So I need to keep the head still. So we're going to keep my head still as long as I possibly can. The last thing I'm going to do with this low punch-out shot is I'm going to hold my extended follow-through position. I'm not going to let my follow-through go all the way up like I normally would. Again, the longer the swing, the more I lose control. So I'm shortening up my backswing, and I'm shortening up my follow-through to about right here. Again, I'm trying to hit that low profiled shot that gets me out of the trouble, puts me back in the fairway, and stays in the fairway. Doesn't roll out to the rough on the other side. So let's see if I can do this. So I got 2 trees in front of me. I have a small window here right in between the 2 trees. So I'm going to line up for that. Back in my stance, choking up a little bit. Again, my swing profile is short back, short through. I'm going to hold that finish. See if I can't keep my head totally still. See if we can't create this shot. So I did exactly what I wanted to do. You know, a short backswing, short follow through. I'm able to control the direction of that golf shot. And then by holding my finish, I'm allowing that club to extend directly down my target line. That's pretty key. It's pretty straightforward. What if, let's say I had, you know, like Cade was talking about earlier, kind of that fly or lie where the ball is sitting up nicely. I still really don't have an option to go for the green, because maybe I'm a little bit too far away. So now, because it's a fly or lie, I could easily get a more lofted club up in the air and get that ball when it hits the grass in the fairway to have a little bit of spin, so I make sure that it stops for me in the fairway. So that last shot I hit with the 7-iron, really, really quality shot, but it's going to have a lot of run out to it. It's going to roll. So it might get to that other side of the fairway and be a little bit in the rough. Maybe I don't want that. So, I'm going to, again, line up in the same manner, back in my stance, choking up. I'm going to hold that extended position, keep my head totally still, see what happens here. So I kind of did exactly what I wanted to do. I moved my head just a hair and caused me to pull it a little bit, but I still got away with the shot because I extended so well down my target line. Even though I pulled it, I really had no chance of hitting that tree to the left. So those are your two kind of options for your basic punch out. Now, let's say we really don't have the situation here to show you, but let's say I have some overhanging branches, and I gotta keep this shot really low, right, to get it underneath the branches. I don't want it lofting up and hitting a tree branch. So now I'm going to take a less lofted club. I have a 5-iron in my bag. I'm really going to do the exact same motion of that punch out, just with a 5-iron. So I get myself lined up, back in my stance, I'm choking up. Again, my swing shortened, but I'm in extension down the target line. So keep my head totally still. Let's see if we can't get this one to come out really low. Good, I did it. So, that shot where we're trying to hit super, super low, if it catches the top of the grass as it's rolling, it's quite all right. It's still going to get out, right? So even if that shot doesn't make it all the way to the fairway, which would have been my goal, as long as my next shot, albeit in the rough, as long as my next shot gives me an opening to go to the green, it's really all I care about. Okay, so those are your 3 basic punch out shots. They're not super hard to learn, but you have to be good with your process on how you go through it. So get yourself down at the range and practice these. You don't have to be in a situation like this. You can practice this punch out shot at the range. So, just with your 7-iron on the range and just create those swings like I just showed you, back in the stance, get extended and just let it go. And create shots using that punch out vision in your mind. Okay, so now, what if we have to punch out, but we might have to work the ball either left or right around the tree? Now the shot becomes exceedingly more difficult. So not only do we want to get it out in the fairway, but we really have to work the ball. Let's say I got to work the ball left. Okay, so this little tree right here to my left, the fairway is moving that way. So I got to try to work the ball in a hooking fashion around that tree and hopefully catch part of that fairway. So my setup is going to be pretty much the exact same. There's going to be a couple of differences, though. You've heard me talk in these sessions before, or you've heard me in an actual golf lesson. I'm sure you've heard over and over again how I don't want your hands to be involved in any portion of the golf swing. I'm going to abandon that theory with this shot. I want to try to get this club to work. I want the club face to work from an open square position to more or less a shut position as we go through impact. That's going to produce that type of side spin, and it's going to make the ball hook. Okay, so what I'm going to do is with that same swing I taught you to punch out, I'm just now going to allow my hands to kind of roll over one another. Now, again, this is a very, very specific shot in golf. It's not something you're going to do for your normal golf swing ever, 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 ever. This is just for trying to get the ball to hook around a tree to get yourself out of trouble. So, same swing, head still, allow my hands to roll over. Let's see if we can't get that ball to be, the profile we want low, yet moving left and around that tree. So I get myself set, back of my stance, choking up just a little bit, backswing back through. I'm still holding my finish to an extended position, so nothing really has changed except for I'm now allowing my hands to kind of roll over through impact. So let's see if we can't get this to go. Set, head still. Now I'm gonna let my hands roll. So I don't know if you're able to see that on video, but the profile of the shot was really, really low, which is what I wanted. Low enough to keep it underneath the branches of that tree, yet that golf ball was moving hard left. It was hooking, okay? Now I chose a 7-iron for that shot. You can do it with almost any club you have in your bag. The difference is in how to choose clubs is, what am I facing? Do I need to keep the ball low? Can I allow the ball to go a little bit higher, right? So let's say I didn't have a whole lot of branches in my way. I could allow the ball to go a little bit higher. Maybe I choose a 9-iron. I'm still going to get that feeling of my hands working through. See if we can get that ball to hook. Yeah, so I mean, it worked out exactly the way I wanted. Kept my head still, stayed back, just allowed my hands to work through the impact position and get that ball moving pretty hard left for me. So again, not a fundamental of golf and using your hands for sure. It's very, very specific just for this shot. The only other place that I would allow you to use your hands a little bit would be in that bunker, which if you saw my bunker lesson, we talked about that. So quality shot for you really will get yourself out of a lot of trouble around the golf course. So practice this. Again, at the range, you don't have to have all this trouble in front of you to practice the shot. You can practice that punch out with rolling over your hands while you're just on the range. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the opposite. If I need to work that ball to the right, for me, this is probably one of the harder shots in golf. My general shot shape is a draw, which is right to left. If I have to hit a cut or a fade, becomes a little bit more difficult for me because it's just not the way that my mind sets up and views the golf shot. So I have to be pretty focused to be able to do that. But there's some things that we want to accomplish when we do this. So again, back to that 7-iron. We're going to hit this little punch shot like we've been doing. But now we want to, this big pine tree here right in front of us. We want to go out this way and see if we can't work that ball to the right a little bit because the fairway's moving that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself set up in the exact same manner. I'm going to stand a little bit closer to the golf ball. And what I'm going to do is when I pull the club back, I'm going to allow that club to kind of be a little bit more upright on that backswing. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of enable me for my plane to come outside to in, slicing across the golf ball. So picture my hand being the club. This is the golf ball. If I'm slicing across like this, now we're producing. The ball is going to move to the right. So that's our goal. The other thing that I want to do in this shot to make the ball move right is I want to try to hold my hands or block it, if you will. So what that means is instead of as I swing through it, my hands are kind of in a rotating position, I'm actually holding my hands in a blocked position through impact. So let's see if we can get this ball to work a bit more to the right. Again, I hope I can do it for you. This isn't my best shot in the world. Back in my stance. A little closer. Choked up just a bit. Again, a little bit more upright. And now I'm going to, as I extend, I'm going to hold my hands in more or less that blocked position through impact. See if we can't get this ball to work a little bit. So if you notice my finish, I finished like this because I held my hands in that blocked position. It's that golf ball. I don't know if you can see it on video, but it started out directly down our target line, which was in between both trees, meaning we weren't going to get hit by the trees. We're going to get out of trouble regardless. But now that ball started to work back to the right. So if the fairway is going this way, I've created spin to make that ball kind of go with the fairway. And then when it hits the ground, it's going to spin even harder and move harder to the right. So a little bit more difficult of a shot, but as you can see, very achievable for us. So let's say I have a little bit of a farther shot in front of me. I still need to work that ball to the right. What if I chose a 5-iron, right? Do the exact same thing. So get our ball back here, back in my stance. Again, choking up just a bit, a little bit more upright. I'm going to hold that finish all the way through. I'm still going to extend, but that finish is going to be held on because I'm trying to block it. So, you know, I accomplished exactly what I wanted. The 5-iron is going to have a little bit of a lower flight pattern. I blocked it, meaning that the ball is moving to the right. But now because I used a 5-iron, it's got a lot more power to it because of the loft difference. And that ball is going to run a lot more harder for me. Really, really cool shot to hit if you kind of have an idea how to do them. Practice these shots. You know, I would say if you can become proficient at just the basic punch out shot, not trying to work the ball left or right, you're going to have options. Okay, so let's say I can hit that punch out, but I can't work the ball left or right, but I know how to punch it out. Well, there's options for you. What if instead of using my hole here, and if I did, I would have to work the ball left or right. What if I went backwards? What if I hit it back this way, back in the fairway? Not ideal because I'm not advancing the golf ball, but guess what? I'm getting myself out of trouble. I'm avoiding that big number on the scorecard. What if I can't get it out to the fairway, but if I went this way, there was a little bit of an opening in the trees. So even though I might still be in the rough, I now don't have tree trouble. So look at all your options. One of a great friends of mine told me once, he goes, survey all the options around you. Look at everything that you have to make a quality decision. So quality decision does not necessarily mean that you pound it down the target line towards the green. You may not have that option. You may have to go backwards. You may have to go the other direction. Maybe it's punching out into a totally different fairway, which then gives you a good shot back at the green of the trees that way. Look at everything in front of you and make an informed decision. And once you have an idea of what you're doing, then it's very clear. How do I do the punch out? What club am I using? And then am I punching it out dead straight, or am I trying to work the ball? So again, just to kind of go back to that initial punch out shot. This is going to be your go-to, your bread and butter. You know, if you don't know how to work the ball or having a hard time working the ball, that's fine. If you know how to hit the basic punch out, you're going to be okay. So again, back in my stance, jump up a little bit, short backswing, finish, keeping my head totally still. I'm not trying to do too much with the shot. Just putting it back in the play. It's a key here. Just putting it back in the play, giving myself an option to move on forward. Hope I was super helpful today. Again, if you have any questions, let us know. We're here to help. If you've been playing golf in the last few weeks during this pandemic, you probably found yourself in some of these positions that we've talked about today. You know, healthy, thick rough, higher at times, probably, you know, growing faster than they can mow it currently. So if you get in the rough right now, it's pretty penal. And there's a lot of trees at Hillcrest. So you kind of have to learn how to navigate yourself through some of these troubled positions. But remember, always reduce the high number on your card. That's the big takeaway. Reduce that high number. And even if it means that you go backwards, if you're putting yourself back into the play, you're reducing that score on your scorecard. So please be safe. Enjoy your families during this time. Hope everyone has a happy and safe Cinco de Mayo. From all of us here at Hillcrest, we thank you. Take care.